Welcome to MTG Ectoplasm, your home for spirits and spirit decks in the world of Magic the Gathering. On this episode, I have an interview with a master. And guess what? He's not afraid of his shadow. Do I got you curious? I hope so. Let's get this episode started, shall we? Let's go. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining me on this episode of MTG Ectoplasm. I'm your host, Dwight, aka DeBlanco, a medium that wears an extra large. Listen, you can follow me on Twitter at MTG Ectoplasm, or you can email me at mtgectoplasm@gmail.com. Listen, tell me if I'm doing a good job, if I'm a bad job, or, I shouldn't quit my day job. Also, if you're having a bad day, share your thoughts with me. I'm here for you. Also, I have mtgectoplasm.com. That's right. That's where I put my latest and greatest episodes up there for you to listen to. I'm going to start posting pictures of my foils that I got. And also, if you want to donate to the show, I need to update my equipment. If you're welcome to assist, you can do that there. Or you can sponsor an episode at mtgectoplasm.com. I would gladly appreciate it, and I know the rest of the world would love to hear your voice on my show. So, now that the pleasantries are just done, we're done with. We cleaned the kitchen, we put away all the utensils. Now it's time. It's time that I bring in the master. That's right. This individual, who is a close friend of mine, is a Death Shadow Master. Let's welcome to the show, Nick. How you doing there, Nick?
Doing great, Dwight. How you doing?
I'm doing great, my man. I haven't seen you in a quick minute. The last time I seen you,
it's only been over a year.
No, well, physically we haven't seen each other in over a year, but we do play here and there on Friday nights through internet, the magic of the internet.
Yep.
So that's the fun part. We actually are part of a kitchen table group where we play nonsensical magic, where any deck can face any deck. So, for example, if you're playing a vintage deck, you will more than likely go against a pauper deck or a modern deck or a BS deck that someone wanted to put together because all the art had left hand. we know who we were talking about, Chuck.
Yeah.
So, Nick, why don't you tell the listening audience a little bit about yourself?
I'm Nick. I've always liked card games since I was really young. I started with Pokemon way back when and moved on to a lot of other card games I played that I think maybe some of your audience might have played many years ago. Star Wars, Young Jedi Masters. Another game that Wizards made that was kind of like Magic. They made a Harry Potter game, almost exactly the same. But instead of lands, you had lessons. You tapped the lessons to play your spells and creatures.
Really?
Instead of having health, you attacked the person's library, which wasn't called a library. And I think that was their first iteration of something close to a Planeswalker. Because besides having your main 60-card deck, you had to use, you had like one of the characters from the movies or the books as you, and they had special abilities. Actually, it's probably closer to Vanguard now that I think about it than a Planeswalker.
That is weird. I've never heard of a Harry Potter CCG game.
Yep. No one really played it, but I think I have a complete set, and I wonder how much it's worth it these days.
Well, I would definitely, hide that away. If you have a safe deposit box, that's something you would want to put in there.
It is safe in a binder.
There you go. Now, what made you start playing Magic?
Actually, the first time I played Magic was probably a couple of years after that. Someone brought in some cards when I was back in 8th grade. I loved card games. Pokemon had died in my area because no one was hosting events anymore. So I found a new form of cardboard crack to start when I was like 12 or 13. Played for about a year, gave my collection away since I wasn't going to use it again. 10 years later, it becomes introduced by one of our people from our group.
The Pokemon.
And it's been a downward spiral since then.
Oh, yeah, that's the problem with this. Like, I find myself, like, I'm addicted. Like, I try to put away some of the stuff and like, oh no, I keep on coming back. It's like, and then I need my magic fix and I keep on coming back. It's brutal.
I mean, the one nice thing about these type of games, though, is since the cards usually maintain their value, if you ever need to get out of it, you still have some money.
See, but to me, what I love about the game is the fellowship, the brothership, the fellowship of being with a group, talking nonsense, hanging out, just having fun. You know, it's like it's like a poker night with wizards and knights and specters and stuff.
Zombies.
Yeah, it's different, you know. You know, when I told my wife, oh yeah, I play cards, she was like, oh, you play poker? I'm like, not exactly, but sure. Let's go with that.
Yeah.
So how long have you been playing Death Shadow?
Death Shadow, I've been playing since, I actually have the exact dates. I think it would have been May of 2018, I believe.
Wow.
Because I didn't get to Death Shadow right away. It was a couple of years before I actually picked up the deck.
Now, what made you get into it?
It would be a couple years prior to that. I had fun with our multiplayer games, but I wanted to play one-on-one competitive. So I tried Standard, but I got into Standard when it was Battle for Zendikar and Tons of Tarkir, where decks were about $2,000 from what I remember, more than a modern deck. Tried it out. I didn't like it because of the limited card pool. So at that time, I think that's when Frontier was starting to pop up. So I looked into Frontier. I looked into Modern. Both of them kind of seemed kind of fun. And I decided to just start buying. I decided that I like playing Grixis colors. I like red. I like blue. I like black. So I'm going to start buying pieces for both, see where it goes. But once Modern Masters 2017 hit, Frontier died, so I committed to Modern. Originally, I was building towards Grixis Delver, since I don't think Shadow existed yet. Or if it did, it was only as Jund and wasn't very popular. I made most of the deck, tried it out. I wasn't too crazy about it, but that's when Death Shadow started popping up. Problem was, all the pieces that I needed to get from Delver to Shadow were expensive. Next 2 years, everything would be reprinted, so I'd be able to finally finish buying everything in May of 2018.
Well, then you started getting. You were in school at that time, right?
No, I was done already then.
Oh, okay. So you ended up getting a real job, and then you're like, hey, I got extra income.
Yeah, but those pieces were still expensive. Because I remember, what was it? Street Wraith, $30 card back then.
Was it that much back then?
Yeah, I remember the pieces because that's why it took me a while. Inquisition of Kozilek, $30 a piece.
Yeah,
Thought Seas, $50 to $60. Scalding Tarn, over $100. So, but all those got reprinted.
Well, the dual lands need to be reprinted. Not the dual lands, but the fetch lands. They all need to be reprinted again. I mean,
well, they're supposed to be reprinting more in Modern Horizons too. So
yeah, but it's not enough. Like, they keep on printing out the shock lands. That's great. More you print, I'm more than please keep on printing those. I like those a lot.
Oh yeah.
But
because no matter how much they reprint them, they always go back up to like their $15, $20 price.
Exactly. And shocklands, we need them. If you're going to keep Modern alive, you're going to keep it viable. We need more shocklands. If not, just get rid of Modern. Let's go to Pioneer.
Yeah.
So, I brought you on the show, Nick, because you are the Death Shadow Master. Now, what I find interesting, because I'm a spirit guy, I've been playing, me, I've been playing Spirit since,
it's been years.
Years, right? Now, my thing is that one thing I love about Spirits is its variations. It has, different modularities. It's just not, Yeah, you can hear people go, "Well, it's just a notorious band." Yeah, but there is mono blue. There's spirits and taxes. They're different for me. They're different variations. I look at Death Shadow, and there's variations there too. Could you tell me about them?
Oh yeah, it usually comes down to a person's personal preference usually. It started off originally as Jund with Zoo Suicide. After I think Fatal Push got printed and came into existence, that's when it went over to Grixis, mostly because all the pieces kind of fit well together. You had the Shadow, you had Thoughtseize, deal damage to yourself, put things into your graveyard. You had Thought Scour, Street Wraith to put out the Gurmag Angler early. But over time, either there would be problems with either blue not being good enough or red not being good enough, and depending on the meta, the deck would change. I know when Modern Horizons came out, the decks got rid of blue, went over to white, and became Mardu Death Shadow to path away Hogax. And what was that other card? I think it's for 3. It's a 2/2. When it comes into play, you search your library for a creature, casting cost of 1. It'd be another way to find the Shadow.
Recruiter.
But yeah.
It's the white one.
Then
right?
after Hogak got banned, the deck went back into Grixis. I think it stayed at Grixis for a while until we got Oko.
Mm.
And then people started jamming in green just for the sake of it.
And
it takes us to, then it went back to Grixis and switched over to Rakdos, and now we're at Jund. Because it's basically just the Rakdos deck, but people want to add the extra color and to run the Tarmogoyf.
I was going to ask, because right now, the Jund version of Death Shadow is 5.4% of the meta. Why? Why is Jund the better build? I'm maybe I'm wrong in thinking Jund is this is before you and I started the show, we were like, Strixhaven just dropped. So we know the meta's now going to become in flux. But currently, at the present time, Jund Death Shadow is the second most played deck in the current modern meta. Why?
Well, it's mostly because it's resilient against Heliod because of the Hex Drinker. Well, it's a combination of things, really. It's because it started off as Rakdos because people wanted to start jamming in Scourge of the Skyclaves. But in order to do that, you had to be a little bit more aggroing. So the Grixis version of that wasn't doing too well. People dropped the blue to put in things like Monastery Swift Spear. And I think that's all they had was those 3, was the Death Shadow, the Scourge of the Skyclaves, and Swift Spear. But that wasn't enough, so people switched over to green, stuck in Tarmogoyf. And then eventually the Swift Spear would go missing for the Hex Drinker because of Heliod Company.
Now, how do you feel about it? What are your thoughts on the Death Shadow? I mean, the Jund version.
I've never been too crazy about the Jund version because I don't like missing my counter spells at all. I really like having the Stubborn Denial, but given the way how the current meta is, it's really probably not as important as it used to be, because the Stubborn Denial is not going to hit Heliod, and it's not going to hit the Ballista.
Okay. Now, tell me about the sideboard of Death Shadow.
That's going to be dependent on the person. Do you want it in general for the entirety of the meta, or do you want it for against the Spirits matchup?
Well, you know what? Let's do against the Spirit matchup. You know what? Let's do. Can we do? Can we do the main board and sideboard for this?
Sure. Yeah. So it's because there's a lot of cards that are going to be in the sideboard that's never going to matter for Spirits, and I'd say right now, Spirits are probably fine because nobody's really worried about them. The thing that you're going to see put in from a sideboard is probably going to be things like Kozilek's Return, which is usually used instead for Auriok Champion. But since Anger of the Gods doesn't work on Ariok Champion, people switched back over to Kozilek's Return because it's colorless. But I'm pretty certain most of your spirits can survive 2 damage from what I remember, correct?
Yes.
Most of the time?
Well, it depends if we're pumping up with Lord or if not we're using the hexproof ability.
Yeah, but the hexproof's not going to matter because it's a board hit.
Oh, then you're right. Then we have Selfless Spirit. We sacrifice it, and all my creatures get indestructible.
Yeah, so you don't have that to worry about. Plague Engineer, I know, used to be a card you used to complain and hate about a lot.
That card's
That's
a cancer.
not used anymore.
Thank God, that card's an absolute cancer.
Well, for now it's not used. With the changes with the meta, I think with Boros, maybe it might see a use because Empty the Warrens is one of the cards I see being used in those Boros lists. So picking goblins wouldn't probably be a bad thing. So you might have to worry about that in the future. But again, currently, you don't have to worry about that. Anger of the Gods not used anymore. The Royal Scion's not used anymore because almost every single list runs Loris because it lets you recast Shadow, lets you recast Scourge, lets you recast X-Drinker, and lets you recast, what's its name? Tarmogoyf.
Okay.
So you're not going to see the Scions coming in at you every single turn. I think the only thing you really would have to worry about is probably Engineered Explosives that some people run 1 to 2 of in the board, but not too many people run it.
And that's in the sideboard.
Yeah, in the sideboard.
Okay.
Yeah, game 1, Spirit should be in the advantage, I would say. Sideboard, also the main board, you got Kulgan's Command, which they're going to use to either kill your spirit. They're going to use it mostly for your Aether Vile, and then either to bring back one of their creatures or try to hit your hand.
Okay.
And the only other one I could think of would probably be Angrath's Rampage, but you don't have probably much to worry about that. The only one that you really, really have to worry about, I guess, is going to be the Temur Battle Rages, which never leave the deck.
I wonder why. Now, is there any main cards that we should, as Spirit players, be truly worried about? Or you just told us everything and you're like, man, don't worry about it.
Actually, yeah. Some people I know do decide to run Grim Lavamancer in the main, a pair of them.
Yeah, that's...
And I know that's traditionally always been used against tribal decks. And I think it's mostly people just trying to make use of all the cards in their graveyard that they don't use anymore because no one's using Gurmag Angler. It's mostly used to be reused for either the Lavamancer, some people use Dreadhorde Arcanist, and some people try to bring back Cruxa.
Now, you told me before that the Spirit matchup against you guys is like 50-50, right?
I'd say it's more 60-40. I've always felt that most of the time go wide decks like merfolk, humans, elves, spirits, and if tokens ever come back again, usually you should have the advantage because you'll have enough chump blockers to deal with most of the blocks unless there's a Temur Battle Rage. But you have Spell Queller to deal with that.
Now, what's the best way for Death Shadow to beat us?
Just keep swinging.
Just keep on destroying our creatures and swing.
Pretty much. I mean, it's mostly going to come in the early game usually with trying to rip your hand apart, pushing your creatures. I mean, it's just going to come just trying to keep getting rid of your creatures so we could swing in.
And what's the best way? Yeah, I mean, I hear you saying going wide, and it's sometimes we can go wide, sometimes we can't. Is there any other strategies that Spirit does? Like, let's say like a Bant. Bant does go wide. So I guess let's go with the Azorius build, the white-blue. Is there something about that somehow magically gets through and affects you guys?
Well, yeah, you fly. I mean, that's your biggest advantage right there. I can't block those.
You can't block flyers. Thank God.
Flyers, yeah.
Thank God. Now, what would you be, obviously the go wide decks are really a bad matchup for you. Any other bad matchups for you?
Burn is supposed to be a bad matchup. I've usually found that be a bit easier, at least to me. because they
And
do all the work for me.
and then how about Blitz? How do you stand against Blitz?
I mean, you are prowess.
Yes.
That's also supposed to be. That was actually supposed to be in Death Shadow's favor because again, they do the work for us. Most of their creatures are small and easy to get rid of. If they don't have the creature, they can't really do too much. All of them die to push. All of them die to bolt. All of them die to drown, and they're all hit by all the hand rips.
So which matchups are the
Can't really, if they use up their spells on my turn to protect themselves, that's less prowess triggers for them.
Well, that's definitely a great benefit.
Yep.
Now, what would you consider your best matchups? Where should, like, say if a young individual is listening to this show and going, I may want to get into Death Shadow.
Generally, Death Shadow's best metas are when we're in the metas where it's mostly playing against solitaire decks like Storm. The traditional Trons, usually Death Shadow is a good matchup. Storm, I think I mentioned Storm, but Storm is a good matchup. Honestly, Dwight, to me, when I play Death Shadow, I'm not really too worried ever about my opponent because with the cards at my disposal, I feel like I could deal with almost any situation.
Now, you said traditional Tron. Define traditional.
The ones where they use I guess the Tron that's used more now would be Eldrazi Tron, but the old ones where they use the Wormcoil Engine, Karn, Ugin, where they don't really play too many creatures. It's just they're playing solitaire until they get to 7.
Or something like my brother-in-law does, where he plays that mono blue Tron, which is awful. I can't stand.
Yeah,
I hate that deck so much. He's my brother-in-law.
But it usually does best against decks that don't interact with the opponent.
Well, let me ask you, how do you guys do against Heliod?
That one I'm not 200% sure about because it's really going to come down to the sideboard.
So it just, if you have the right sideboard, you have a chance. And if you meet that deck a lot, if not, then you're SOL.
Yeah, that's.
Let me ask you another biggie. Ready? Amulet Titan.
That's one I was never really worried about too much.
I hate that deck.
But again, the Jund versions don't play the counter spells, so I guess most of them rely on clearing Wildfire. And I guess early game removal.
Now, let me ask you, is when you play against spirits, are there any particular spirits that you don't like? Like when you see them on the board, you're like, damn it. Like that just frustrates you. Nick, are you there? Oh no. Oh no, this is not good. Ladies and gentlemen.
Oh no, you're back.
Oh,
you're
okay,
back.
there you go. Oh. I'm like, oh no, I lost connectivity. Oh no.
Yeah.
So did you hear my question?
I heard up to is there any spirits I particularly don't like dealing with?
Yes. Let the listening audience hear it again. Are there any particular spirits that once they hit the board, or that's potentially in the opponent's hand, is there something there that you just go, damn it?
Yeah, Spell Queller and that white one from Battle for Zendikar that exiles something 4 or less. Don't remember the name. I just remember hating it.
Skyclave Apparition.
There we go. That's it.
No, why does Skyclave Apparition bother you?
It doesn't give me back my creature. It gives me an XX, from what I remember.
Nothing wrong with hexes.
I don't agree, but...
And then what about the spell queller that bothers you?
Well, if I'm trying to deal with answers and I think I have it open, that kills my answers and that pretty much kills my game.
Okay. I just figured I'd ask. It's just, you and I have gone toe to toe, and to me, like, you tend to get under me, and it frustrates the crap out of me. It's like I come out strong, and I'm hitting. I'm doing the rope with dope. I'm against the ropes, but I give you a hard uppercut or a
Yeah.
roundhouse punch, and then all of a sudden you just come in with a haymaker, and it's like, oh, it's like, what the hell?
Well, you know what? I think that probably is more because I think the game is more under your control than my control. You get to choose when you want to block and when you want to take damage. I really don't. I have to assume you're going to come in, and I can't really deal with the creatures in the air. All I got to do is hope that you decide to block. I know you got constant ways to deal with all the ways I try to kill your creature, so I have to plan for that ahead of time.
See, one thing, what I tell people that I love about spirits, and listening audience automatically knows what I'm going to say. Spirits is this unique tribe. It's unlike any other tribe in the world of magic where they protect their own. They literally go out of the way to give each other hexproof. They protect each other by countering spells or giving each other indestructible. It's the most unique tribe there is in magic. And it to me, like, that has to piss off an opponent.
Yeah, it definitely does. The Drog Skull captains, I don't like them.
Those are my personal favorite. My first episode was on them. They're my jam.
That's the best way to start a podcast if you're going to talk about the tribe.
I had no.
Is that Drug Skull Captain?
What? I don't know if you're aware, but that was actually the first Spirit Lord that was printed in 2012. And then we didn't see Yeah, it was the first Spirit Lord printed in 2012. And then we didn't see anything later till Eldritch Moon. You're talking about 4 years later, we ended up getting Spell Queller, Rattle, Chains, Mausoleum Wanderer, Selfless Spirit. And then you got to consider almost 5 years later, maybe 4 or 5 years later, we ended up getting Supreme Phantom, which actually made the deck viable in Modern. So
yeah,
it's kind of funny how this deck has been in the process of being made by WotC, but it just took forever.
Yeah.
Now, what I love about your deck is that people thought like, this goes with this goes with this goes with this. The one thing I don't like is that Skyclave guy that you guys now have. Oh, that guy's an absolute...
Well, not every list wants to run it, because if you have to run it, you have to have early aggro game, which this deck has never really been about.
I know. I don't like that card. That card is just
brutal.
Brutal.
I love it.
I know you.
It lets me put back 4 bolts, and I don't feel bad about it anymore.
Well, because you played against me, and I don't like that card. See, the best part is that I traded in my foil Aether Viles, so I can't play you tonight. So yay me! Yay!
Yeah.
And I was hoping to play you tonight. I'm like, oh man, I want to play some Magic. So Nick, I want to thank you for taking your time with me on the show.
No problem.
So you know what, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank Nick for being on the show. Hopefully you got some good insight. If you want to sit there and play Jund Death Shadow or just Death Shadow in general, don't. Spirits is better. You heard it from him. Just saying.
Sorry to the people that did want to play Jund. That is not my forte in the Death Shadow realm.
What is your forte? What are you into? What's your bag?
I still prefer Grixis because I like my Snapcasters. I like my counter spells, and I can't play the deck without them. I need them.
It's like your cancer, or you're like your bag.
What?
It's like is it something you have to deal with, and you're like, fuck, I gotta deal with the blue because I can't get rid of blue. Or you're like, man,
no, I like the blue. I want the blue. Really? And honestly, with the things that I see in Strixhaven, and for what I'm seeing in the Death Shadow Discord, the deck might go back to it just to deal with the new prowess decks.
You know what?
And probably because Heliod is going to start falling from use because it keeps killing it off, and people won't need Hex Drinker as bad as they did. Although I won't be surprised if the deck does go 4-color just to keep Tarmogoyf, because that is such a good card, especially with Loris.
So let's discuss. What do you think the future of this deck is going to be? Like, what do you think is going to be the new iteration? And you said
Oh man,
Grixis, but like, what do you think is going to be added and what's going to be removed?
I think Stubborn Denials. I have a high. I feel like that card is probably going to be the one that's going to die off a bit. Instead of being a 4 of in every deck or 3 of, it might go to 1 or 2 of, because Drown in the Lock solves so many problems in the deck, and there's so much discard. Like it used to, the deck usually only used to run 2 copies of Inquisition once Fatal Push came in. Before that, it used to run all 4. Fatal Push came in, so Inquisition's got a hit. But now that card's becoming more important, so it's gone up, which is going to turn on the Drown the Locks more, and also because of Cruxa. Since Cruxa constantly is going to keep coming back in over and over again with Loris, it keeps putting things in the yard. It keeps making Drown the Locks such a good card in any meta.
Now, do you see?
And also,
sorry, go ahead.
Oh, and also Snapcaster Mage. A lot of people are starting to like it again after it's seeing a lot of not seeing use in shadow decks for the past like year or two because of Loris. You just get to keep reusing it to deal with all the problems.
So let me ask you real quick. There's a new card from Strixhaven. It's called Test of Talents. Do you know this card or no? Here, let me read it for you.
No, I got it. Yeah,
okay,
go ahead and read it for the audience. So I guess.
Okay, it's a generic in blue. It's an instant, and it says counter target instant or sorcery spell. Search its controller's graveyard, hand, library for any number of cards with the same name as the spell and exile them. That player shuffles, then draws a card for each card exiled from their hand this way. Now, do you see this card being a part of that deck?
Yep, and oh yeah, definitely. That's why I feel like Stubborn Denial is going to probably see a lot less use. I already know people are starting to test out Test of Talents in their builds.
I ended up buying I bought 2 play sets, the one foil, non-foil, just because of course my deck is foiled out, so I have to get the foils. But I had to get the non-foils because I see that card it's the modern day version of Quash, which that's a card from back in the day that was like 2 blue into generic. Basically did the same thing, but your opponent didn't draw cards. They just exiled every single card.
Yeah, but it costs 4. This only costs the 2. Not bad though.
Which is still such a great card.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's would spirits use this? Because when I was looking before getting on here, I did want to look into to see what cards were being tested out. Test of Talents was one of them. I think is going to make it into the deck, and it did make me wonder: would spirits even use this? Do you even have the space to put it in?
Honestly, the deck is so tight that do you if you're talking about the Bant build, no, it's not gonna. There's no spot for it. In the Azorius build, maybe. And the only way I say maybe, which I know some of the community is going to go, Dwight, don't go there. I think our 1 mana spot is extremely weak because of Spectral Sailor. It's a good card. It's a great mana sink in the late game. It does hit in the early beginning. But if it's a mid-draw, that does absolutely nothing for you. I can see maybe 1 or 2 of those gone from the main, or if not, we go down to maybe. I use 21 land in my spirit deck. I can see us going down to 20 and putting actually 2 of those Test of Talents in there, just to deal with, let's say, Lightning Bolt or other cards like. Duress or the Fatal Push.
Fatal Push. Yeah.
But who knows? It really depends on the players out there. Like, you are just like I am. We're paper players. We're the old school traditional paper players. We're not the new hip kids on the block where we do Arena and MTGO. And I'm trying to be a hip kid. I want to be a hip kid. I want to hang out with the cool kids. So I did sign up for MTGO. I do have Arena on my cell phone. So hopefully one day I'll be able to go, oh, I'm playtesting this, and yes. But for right now, what I can tell you, according to my sources and other masters, they are considering it. They are trying it out right now. Right now, it's a hard maybe that it's in the deck. But they're trying to squeeze around, and they know that Spectral Sailor is the... Maybe if there's a 4 of or a 3 of, it's going to go down to 2. So hopefully that answers your question.
It does. What about because I know they did add spirits in red. Is any spirit deck even looking to try to get into 3-color?
None.
I'm guessing probably not.
None.
Yeah,
None whatsoever. I have a friend of mine. He was on the show last week, Tuesday Tastic. He's a brewer. Well, let me just say, I can't call him a master because, but what he is, he's a great spirit content maker, great young man. I've been following his work for years. He's now going to start trying to brew with these, and there's a great possibility. A lot of us saw Stern Proctor and we're like, oh, it's a white and a generic and it's flying 2/1, and oh, it does everything that would kill our deck. Like, why are you a spirit and why do you exist? You're the anti-spirit. You're the sellout spirit. Have you seen that card, Nick?
Which one?
Stern Proctor.
Stern Proctor. Let me look it up.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I almost bought a foil playset. I'm like, oh yeah. And the next one I'm like, let me read this card. Oh no,
it's not Stern Proctor, that's for sure.
It's Stern something.
Stern Proctor's from from Urza's Saga. It's not even modern legal.
What is it then? Stern something.
I will find out. You sure it's Stern or Proctor? Which is the more important? Let's try Stern.
Oh man.
And
now I feel like an asshole.
Strixhaven. There's too many cards. You can't remember all of them. You just have to remember your own cards. Okay, that's in German. That's not...
It's Strict Proctor. Strict Proctor. I'm sorry. It's a generic and white. It's a spirit cleric flying. It's a 1/3, so it has a big booty. And it says, whenever a permanent entering the battlefield causes a trigger ability to trigger, counter that ability unless its controller pays 2. So it does... It basically... There's no point in playing... Spell Queller. There's no point in playing Skyclave Apparition. You want to use the hexproof ability of Rattlejanes? No, it's not going to work. It basically shuts down Mausoleum Wanderer. It's just awful. And it's a spirit. It's like, Wizards, what are you doing?
I think it'll be a good sideboard card, though.
For other people playing against spirits, sure. Not for us.
Well,
I mean,
if you're playing...
I can see if a person ends up building like, what's this? Where are you?
Because the first thing I think of would have been back when Uro was still in. That would have been a great card.
So Venerable Warsinger. It's that spirit 3/3 spirit with vigilance and trample, 1 generic red and a white. Basically, if it deals damage, you can bring whatever X damage you deal to a person. You can bring a creature back from your graveyard. I can see because it has no ETB. I can see that being those two working together. So
yeah,
I can see maybe a different version eventually of spirits, but not right away. Like I really look at Venerable Warsinger as like I did Drug School Captain back in 2012.
Yeah. I mean, if we ever get back into a meta where Snapcaster Mage is important, that Strict Proctor I think would be pretty good.
Yeah, but it shuts down way too many of our own personal cards. It just turns into just flying beaters. Like, ooh,
Sure.
where's the interaction? That's the fun of spirits. The whole thing about spirits is the fact that they protect themselves, but the interactivity. You get to play with your opponent's head, and I like doing that. I like to live rent free in their mind.
Right, but let me put another scenario in your head that I think would actually work. A card you asked me about a while ago called Aether Vile.
Yes.
So you play one of the spirits that you're worried about with the Aether Vile, keep the 2 open. Your opponent you're going to play with your opponent's head because you'll be able to still get your ETB effect, and they won't know what the 2 mana's for.
Hold on, you get the...
Still talking about Strict Proctor.
Really? You get the...
Did I... Let me see if I read this wrong. Whenever a permanent entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability to trigger, counter that ability unless its controller pays 2.
Yeah, see, it doesn't work. It doesn't work.
You use your Aether Vial to put it in, you pay the 2, and you still get your ETB.
Oh, okay, I see where you're going with that. Yeah, you could do that. Yeah. Yeah, but... Yeah.
Like I said, I think it'd be a sideboard card, maybe not for right now, but while it's cheap, probably wouldn't be a bad idea to buy a playset, let it sit in the foot and sell it, sit in the binder.
Okay, you heard it here, ladies and gentlemen. If you're looking for a card to clean up your hamster's fecal material in his cage, pick up Stern Proctor. There you go. This will help you clean your reptile cage.
So.
I hate that card so much. I don't like it. All right. Well, you know what, ladies and gentlemen? It's come out to the shout-out time. Hopefully, Nick, you're going to stick around, right?
Yeah, I'll be
okay,
on.
Awesome. The shout-outs. What this is, Nick, is I shout out the best of the best, the cream of the crop, the creme de la creme, the best spirit players right now that are out there who ended up 5-0 or first placing in your local tournaments. So I'm going to have here in my hands, Nick, you can see my... Right, I have it in my hands, my index cards.
Yeah, I can see them.
Okay, I'm going to start in historic, and what happens is I shouted out this individual last week. I don't know how to get a hold of you, pal. You got to get a hold of me. I want you on this show. Please look me up at MTG Ectoplasm on Twitter. Please follow me. I want to talk to you. Reason why, and I'm going to tell you who this person is. They got into first place with a mono blue snow build. Okay, in historic. Platinum Mythic rank player. Congratulations, Mythic, Platinum Mythic rank player, for proving, you know what, Spirits is the best in historic. Now, in Pioneer, holy crap, there's an individual who I'm going to say twice, and I'm going to say more about you. Right? Ready? April 12th, 5-0 in a mono blue snow build in an MTGO league. Saisuski, sorry, my man, for butchering your name. Saisuski, congratulations. Another player got first place in the Azorius build in a Urim tournament, and that's Matsusunga Takashiro. There you go, Matsusunga Takashiro. Congratulations, my man. Also, another player went 5-0 in an Azorius build in the MTGO League in Pioneer, and that's AG Fly. AG Fly, congratulations, my man. Also, first place Azorius Pioneer Royale, Fernando89. Congratulations. And then here we go again. 5-0, an Azorius Mono Blue Snow build in an MTGO League, Saisuski. Saisuski, you're the man, doing it back-to-back, twice in 1 week. Congratulations. Now in Modern. First place with an Azorius build in a... Jesus, you Japanese people are killing me here. And I love you guys. But to pronounce the stuff, you got to make it more American for me because I'm an American. And I hate to say that with my American bias. And in a Hirahura daily tournaments... Yashimoto Reiji, congratulations, my man. Another first place Bant player in the same type of tournament, which I'm going to butcher. but I'm going to say your name correctly. It's Konduo Yauchi. Konduo Yauchi. Congratulations. Now, April 13th, a 5-0 in a Modern League build with Bant. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Bant it's back in Modern, and that's Remf, R-E-M-F. Congratulations, my man. Remf, R-E-M-F. Congratulations for going 5-0. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're ready. I saved this individual for a semi-last because I think he's really good. I've seen him around. I've seen him a couple times. 5-0 in the Azorius build in a Modern League. Darshik, man. Congratulations. I'm happy you're there, and I finally got to shout you out. Congratulations. And then finally, the man, the myth, the legend. Okay, a true spirit master. My man, I've been trying to get a hold of you. You've been trying to get a hold of me. Enough of this phone tag. The listening audience needs to get a hold of you. You went 5-0 with a band building in a Modern League, and congratulations. Once again, holy crap, I can't believe it. Congratulations to Dr. Queller. Thank you, gentlemen, for proving, ladies and gentlemen, proving that Spirits is the best deck in every format available. And ladies and gentlemen, if I didn't shout you out yet, guess what? I will. Keep on trying hard. We believe in you. You know what? If you have the Spirit, then there you go. You have the Spirit. That's all I'm going to say about that. Oh, brings a tear to my eye. Now, Nick, is there anything you want to shout out, my man?
Yeah, there is actually 2 MTG creators I would like to shout out, especially if you want to better understand Shadow, because I'm sure watching them play is better than listening to try to talk about Jund. Mr. Blade Gaming on YouTube does a lot of Shadow content. If you want to get into Shadow or understand it, I'd suggest watching his videos. And if you just like Modern in general and want to see some more creative lists that are actually good, or if they take lists that exist and puts a little twist on it, Annihilator MTG, all is one word, on YouTube is really good. And for my favorite local gaming store, Nova Gaming.
There you go. There you go for that Nova Games. I thought you were going to say, you're one of your favorite, Magic content creators. So it's like MTG Ectoplasm. And no.
Well, you didn't let me get to just mentioning my favorite podcast for Magic.
Okay. Well, you know what? Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining me on this episode. I want to thank Nick for joining me on this unique and special episode. I hope you got a lot of information, because I definitely did. I learned a lot from Nick, and hopefully you did too. You know what? I guess I'll see you guys next time. Let me just say thank you to Denmark and Russia for being the new countries listening to this podcast and making it a global, international sensation, because we're the #1 listened to Spirit podcast in all of the world. Thank you very much, and I'm humbled. See you guys next time. Say goodbye, Nick.
Bye, Nick.